23.
24.
24. How? I've read 3 this week.
I do not count books with pictures.
Picture.
25. 26.
Audiobooks. That's cheating.
We call it strategic reading. Wait, they've gotten too far ahead. There's a great gap in our Goodreads scores. Too far for swords to reach.
Then you'll have to toss me.
What?
I cannot skim the distance, and I will not summarize the plot. You'll have to toss me.
You're sure?
Just don't tell the kiddos.
This year's big summer read is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Join us for this epic quest. Read along, send us your thoughts, your theories, all your precious insights.
This is Free Zone Radio.
From Free Zone Radio, I'm Jason Crockett, and this is Second Stage. This week is Mother's Day, and we are providing a 2-episode gift to mothers everywhere. 2 episodes that reconsider the impact, the humor, and the role of mothers in our lives. In this episode, we turn our attention to Tracy Letts' play turned famous movie, August, Osage County. It's a Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning play that once held center stage in 2007 at Chicago's Steppenwolf Theater. It then moved to Broadway and quickly stepped out to Hollywood as a film starring numerous legends like Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts. The play follows the Weston family as they gather at the home place in rural Oklahoma after the sudden disappearance of their patriarch, only to unravel over a long, volatile few days of buried resentments, recriminations, addictions, and long-held grievances. At the center of everything is Violet Weston, a sharp-tongued, pill-dependent mother whose confrontations with her 3 daughters expose fractures that have been widening for years. What makes it so celebrated? Well, I think August, Osage County reasserted the power of the large-cast American family drama and reminded audiences that contemporary playwrights, like Tracy Letts, could still command the scope and intensity often associated with earlier giants like Eugene O'Neill and Arthur Miller. Letts brought a raw, darkly comedic voice to this tradition, and I'm sure it continues to challenge performers and students of theater who work to know these characters better. We're releasing this episode for Mother's Day, and the irony isn't lost on us. It's intentional. The mothers in this play are not the kind, wholesome, nurturing women who raised me and my co-hosts. But you know what? Not everyone is lucky to have the moms we've had. The mothers in this play leave a trail of damage, and we know how fortunate we are to have been raised by women who showed far more care, love, patience, and steadiness than Letts' characters had. Joining me again are Hannah Randolph and Drew Haston, my infamous partners in podcasting. Hannah gifted us this play for Christmas last year, and it's one of her personal favorites. But does it deserve a second spin on community theater stages? It may be a bit too rough and vulgar for even advanced classrooms today.
It speaks.
He robbed me. So I read this play a couple of weeks ago, and then I watched it last night.
Oh.
And that part legitimately cracked me up when little Charles says something. She goes, "It speaks."
Speaks.
So, second stage, considering plays that might deserve a second spin in the classroom or a first spin somewhere. This one comes to us from Hannah, who picked this as a Christmas gift to us. August, Osage County by Tracy Letts. Why'd you pick it?
Ooh, so this was one of my favorite movies when it first came out. I would probably put it in my top 5 movies still.
Wow.
Oh, I love it. I love the movie. And I had no idea that it was a play. And I just happened across it. And I thought, Crockett's into reading plays. Drew has gotten into reading plays. I'm getting them both this play, and I'm going to read this play. And I absolutely loved it. And there's just something about a dysfunctional family that I'm drawn to.
I was going to say, so you said that this was one of your Mount Rushmore movies. I would be remiss if I didn't follow in the footsteps of the great interviewer, Jiminy Glick, who says, but why? But like, why? Why this movie?
Oh,
what,
I think
what really stood out to you?
You say you like dysfunctional families. Is it because your own is going crazy? How was that?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. No, Meryl Streep. I mean, her performance in this movie is like captivating to me.
Yeah. Have you watched it?
No.
So last night was my first time watching it, and I already came to the table thinking Meryl Streep's going to have the chops for this. You know, she acts in a crap ton of things. She's legendary. And I was like 2/3 of the way through it, and I was like, my God, is there anything this woman can't do? Like,
I mean, it was unlike anything I had ever seen her in before.
yeah. No, I thought she was amazing.
And her and Julia Roberts together,
yeah.
dynamic duo.
I thought you and I had discussed this before. I don't know if you and I did, Drew, but we were talking about like main character for it. And I kind of got the impression that the main character of the story is
Barbara. Oh, yeah.
But if I watch the movie, I don't know. I kind of
know.
feel it's a duality between the two of them.
For sure.
She really carries Violet through it. But
Yeah.
it just the text of the play, I felt like Barbara was.
I would agree.
Well, cool. What's Drew thinking about?
I'm trying to figure out if I almost think that it's Violet. Is the main character.
Why?
I don't know. I just think that the story is more centered around her, and I know Barbara is in the middle of it also. But yeah, I guess you would have two main characters. I mean, which is not impossible, but it just seems like it's centered more on Violet's like temperament and Violet maybe some of her mistakes and her addiction, and it seems like every problem is rooted out of her, and she's also at the heart of everything. So I don't know. I think I would lean more towards her as the true protagonist, but I don't know.
No, I think there's totally room for that. I think my first reading of it made me feel like Dracula, which I know you and I have talked about before, that Dracula is only in like a few chapters of the entire book.
Yeah.
But the entire thing's called Dracula. And yet, if I'm thinking of, okay, who are your main characters? Well, you got Mina Harker, you got Jonathan Harker, you got, well, that's the crew of
Van
Light.
Helsing.
And Van Helsing. That's the crew of Light.
Yeah.
But Mr. Dracula himself, I mean, he's only in there a fragment of the time.
But see, I don't know that he's the main character.
Oh, I was everything you were saying about Violet. I thought, oh, that's like Dracula.
Sort of, yeah, but like Dracula is ever present in Dracula, but that goes into us reading Augustus. He's ever present in the story, and it's centered around him as a person.
Yeah.
But yet in Augustus is the perspectives and the players of the actual story. He's not necessarily one of those.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Julia, I don't know if you've gotten there yet. I think Julia is a protagonist in Augustus, and I think that probably Maecenas is one. I don't know that I think Augustus is important and central to the story, but I don't think that he's the protagonist. And I think you couldn't have that story without Augustus. You couldn't have Dracula without Dracula. And yeah, all the problem. I know that I just said that all the problems do spawn from him.
Yeah.
But the people making moves are. Are you with me so far?
I am.
Like
Yeah.
it's limited to what we see. I would almost say that Van Helsing is more of a protagonist than Dracula.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Amina Harker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the
right.
protagonist.
She's a protagonist.
Yeah, yeah. Those two. I know Jonathan's a part of it.
Oh no, I would think that
he's
Mina
more
and
of
Van
a
Helsing
side.
are the
Yeah,
two main ones.
I think so too.
Yeah. And not just because most of the diaries and stuff are from their perspective, but I mean, they are the ones moving the action ahead.
Yeah. I just think that Violet is more present. Like, I think that matters. That she's present, and she is also like the problems stem from her, but at the same time she's causing them like actively. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
she's the vampire upstairs, bleeding us dry.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like portraying my thoughts very well.
No,
I just think
good.
that there's a big difference.
I agree.
between those examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe is a definition, since we're English teachers, is a definition of a protagonist supposed to include that they are actively taking part in forwarding the action, in moving things forward?
I mean, but then you get into that. Like, is Dracula moving the plot forward? Yeah. I mean, he moves to London
Merely by existing.
Right. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
It happens just because he exists. Like, the problem stems from him. I don't know that he's like an active member of the events though, other than like, ooh, I thought I saw him. I saw him at the Piccadilly Circus. Do you know what I mean? Where Violet is like active in the story. She has maybe more speaking lines than Barbara has. I'm going to venture to say she's got the most speaking lines in the play. So
My take was that Violet, because I was looking at Barbara as more of a protagonist. I thought Violet would have been the antagonist. That she's keeping them from getting what they want. She's causing problems for Beverly,
okay,
for Barbara.
Agreed. But that goes into something we've talked about is with May in the Circle. She starts off as your protagonist, but she ends up as your antagonist. Like, she is the bad guy.
That she gets seduced to the dark side.
Yeah. And I think that you can have those. It kind of goes into a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Don't you think Violet, though, was the bad guy the whole time? I feel like she started off pretty sucky.
Would Beverly have disappeared if it weren't for his long, many years with Violet? Would Beverly, I don't know, we shouldn't make decisions like that. Would Beverly still have been such an alcoholic if?
I mean, that's a tough call, though.
Yeah.
Because he's flawed as a character, too.
Oh, yeah, he
You know?
is, right?
I mean, if I had a love child with my wife's sister, I mean, I don't know. I just think that that's a heavy thing that people could carry with them that could eventually lead to suicide, or do you know what I'm saying?
I
Like
do.
self-harm as a release. And I mean, who's to say that Violet's not gone insane because of that? Because she knows. She knows. I'm not going to get into that.
Our audience can't
Please
see
edit
us.
that out. Please.
No, our audience can't see us, but we are wearing black today, and we are gathered here for a funeral dinner of our own. So, except for me and Drew, I see that we're just not wearing the jackets like we're supposed to at the dinner table. That's what Violet says. Hannah, you picked this play for us. Can you explain it like I'm 5? What's this a play about?
Oh, okay. So the basics, it's a play about family. It's a play about secrets. And it's a play about what those secrets would do to a family. And the play starts off and you're introduced to the patriarch of the family, Beverly, and he is hiring Jonna. And he's kind of explaining the dynamic that is the marriage between Beverly and Violet. And then after that, you find out that he has gone missing. He's left and he is missing in action. And the kids are all coming home as basically, it's like what word am I trying to think of? The family home has become this, I'm thinking of
Black hole?
Yeah. It's the command center
Oh,
of
yeah.
let's find Beverly.
Yeah.
Well, you find out Beverly is dead. And it's basically the unraveling of this family strand by strand.
That's true. You bring up Meryl Streep. She plays Violet, the mother.
Yes.
We also, when you first told me about this, I was super surprised by how many like A-list names are in this movie. Because Meryl Streep, I think by virtue of her acting chops alone, could have carried the movie. But her husband, Beverly, is played by Sam Shepard, American actor, playwright. Their 3 daughters, you have their oldest one, Barbara, played by Julia Roberts. Her husband is played by Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Hello there.
Their daughter is played by Abigail Breslin. Mm-hmm. And then you have other people in here like Benedict Cumberbatch, Margot Martindale, Dermot Mulroney, Juliette Lewis, Julianne Nicholson, Chris Cooper, blah, blah, blah. Like you get all of these big time names that are in this movie. Holy cow.
It's stacked.
So this was a great play written by Tracy Letts, and I was trying to think, it's not in any way that this is a terrible play or a mediocre play, but holy cow, how did a play like this leap from a stage to so many A-list actors? Like, what about it do you think really catapulted it to such Hollywood?
Well, I mean, you read it and it's just so raw. It sits with you. It stays with you. It's dark, it's raw, but it's also like biting humor at times.
Yeah. Drew's like, yeah, I agree with that.
I concur. No, it's relatable, as any good story should be. And I think I told you guys that both. There were times that I was struggling to read it, not because it was bad, but because sometimes it felt too real. Mm-hmm. And I just think that some people have like tighter knit families than others, and some families are not as close, but I think we all have our family issues because, whether you don't necessarily get to choose your family, you're hitched up to them. And I know that, you read all the time about my generation, the millennials. It talks about how we're prone to quote unquote divorce our parents and leave them behind. And I know that that's like a trend right now because you and I were talking about how your parents get to a certain age and sometimes you're kind of like, what are you thinking? Like, who are you? And I think sometimes this world has gotten so chaotic that maybe we feel like it would just be easy to just cut ties, maybe. But I think where we live in the South, that's not a part of the culture. You're never going to really rid yourself of your family. So everybody's got dynamic family issues, and this one captures that. So
yeah. I was thinking on the way to work today that maybe we should ask Mark Creeder or somebody this too, somebody who's a veteran of stage and theater. What the heck is it that so many playwrights write plays that are like, here's my family drama, and I'm just going to unload it for you right now, and I want a Tony. Like, what is it? Because it's this. Long Day's Journey into Night, Tennessee Williams, like over and over. Heck, you even read something like Sophocles and you're like, where's your family drama? Like it's somewhere in there too. But what the heck, we really do bring that right into our stages and just we put it out for show, right, for everybody to see.
I mean, because I think that when you want substance, there's a difference between, like you were saying, drama and melodrama. And I'm thinking about this show Mary Beth was watching called Poldark.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
So much melodrama. It was like, oh, I'm in love with this servant. And then they are married. Oh, I'm cheating on her with the love of my life. Oh, no, she is the love of my life. Oh, no, I'm cheating on her again. And it was just kind of like cheap. Yeah. And I don't doubt that those things happen, but it didn't feel authentic. But then you can get into family dynamics. We all can relate to that. You get into family dynamics with Driving Miss Daisy with an aging parent, which is kind of what's going on here. Mm-hmm. We can all relate to that, especially where we're at in our lives right now. We kind of can relate with that.
But Driving Miss Daisy is such a comedy. This isn't this called a tragic comedy? Mm-hmm. I think it was called a tragic comedy in here, which it is.
Okay, so you watched the movie. Do you feel like reading it was funnier when you read it, and then when you watch it, it's so dark and
plenty of places were
so sad.
Yeah, there were definitely some beats that I thought were more comedic in the book of it. But I think I also, just before we started recording, was telling you all, like, that was my line from Violet that really got me when little Charles says, blah, 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 and she goes, oh, it speaks. Like, that cracked me up. Getting to watch some of the interactions between people also, because theater is meant to be heard, it's meant to be watched. Watching some of the interactions between characters opened up some new humor for me. If we're looking at these characters and their family drama as a way for us as playwrights to have an outlet, aren't we in the audience also looking at this as a way of therapy? Aristotle says that we watch tragedy to think, and then go away thinking, oh, thank God, I can move on with my life. You watch some of the interactions here and you know these people. Violet and her sister, Maddie Faye, when they're at the table and they'll start tearing into somebody or they'll start laughing about something. When they're upstairs looking through old pictures and Ivy, the middle daughter, is with them and they find out that she's got a man in her life and suddenly everything stops and they're like, well, now we want to know about this. And watching them chuckle and yet be so rough and raw about things, it absolutely reminded me of my grandma Joyce and her sister Annabelle. And I swear I looked at it last night and I was like, oh God, it's Joyce and Annabelle. Like, I'm just watching them chuckle. But I also know that they had hardships when they were growing up. And why are they rough the way that they were in their way? Because of things that happened to them. And Violet brings that up at the dinner whenever one of them starts complaining of, well, we've had it so rough. And she's like, you don't know what rough is. But yeah, I mean, I picked that up from it.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. I'm here for the ride.
He's here for the ride. Why August?
Okay.
It's called August, Osage County, as in like, okay, in the month of August, Osage County, go. It's like we're setting the stage.
For me, like my family, we never vacationed in August because like August is hot. You're in deep summer. It's hot. And then you get this house in this story that the heat is on in August. The house is hot. It's hot outside. And what happens when you get hot? You get tempered.
Yeah.
And so you have these people who are sweltering and it's basically like a pressure cooker. This house is a pressure cooker for them.
For real.
It's hot outside. It's hot inside. It's making it hotter inside. Tensions are rising. Tempers are rising.
Yeah.
And I mean, the heat represents these people's mentalities almost.
It's like what is it? Plaza Hotel on
In Gatsby.
Yeah.
I knew Drew was going to bring that up. I was literally just about to say that Drew's really good about paying attention to scenes and setting. And if I'm thinking in Gatsby of the Plaza Hotel, because that's when their pressure cooker is about to erupt. That's when all their greatest tension comes to a head. And in Lord of the Flies, whenever the boys are driven to their greatest frenzy, it's because the storm is building up over the island. And Simon says that the pressure in his head, like everything's just kind of beaten down on you. I think he says the sky was the color of brass. But here, you've got Oklahoma, the plains.
What do they keep calling it? I got a case of the plains.
The case of the plains. They were talking early on about how Violet had been keeping parakeets. Like she'd buy a parakeet and then it would die, like a day later. And they would go get another one. 2 days later, it was dead. Another day later, it's dead. Until finally, the pet store comes out to find why are all these birds dying? And Barbara says it's the heat that she keeps it so hot in there.
She's like, they're tropical birds.
Tropical birds. They're supposed to be able to survive it. I thought that was a pretty cool metaphor for all of them, too. Like, y'all were raised here. You're supposed to be able to survive this. But it's tough to come back. It's tough to come back home. But it's also tough to come back in that heat and that pressure, and something's going to burst.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the thought of like coming back home and leaving, because I started reading that Foxfire play last night, and that's kind of what's happened there. I don't know. Y'all probably watched the movie. I didn't realize that they had made a film adaptation of it.
Oh.
Yeah, which Jessica Tandy plays the same character in that. But that's kind of the issue at heart there is the son Dillard comes back home and it's hard to come back home. And why have you been gone for so long? And why have you not, inherited our ways? And again, it just all goes back to, are these things not common in all families? You know, are these things not common as why did you become this and not this? Why didn't you take over the family business? Why didn't you continue running the family farm? You were built for this. You were made for this. But at the heart of it all, we're our own individuals. You know, we spring out of our families, but we're also our own people. We don't necessarily become our family. We're just like a branch of that tree. Does that make sense? We might even bear different fruit than the tree's been bearing. So I don't know. That's an interesting aspect to think of that, you know, you were made for this. I don't know. I mean, this is like a tough thing to talk about without getting into like all this psychology and stuff, because I mean, just because you were made for something, does that mean you should stand it? You know, just because I'm made for dysfunction, does that mean I should withstand that dysfunction? I don't think that's what that, do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Why? I mean, that's getting into the, should I pay for the sins that you have committed? It's kind of getting into that stuff. I
mean, it's kind of like you learn to adapt to survive. And so it's like, did you not adapt growing up to survive this? Not necessarily that you are dysfunctional or that your future is going to be dysfunctional, but can you withstand the dysfunction when you come back to it?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, are you able to be resilient enough?
Yeah.
Like,
and maybe
it's not right, but I mean, nature's going to be pretty brutal on us, and we as kids, we as people need to be resilient. So it's like trying to grow a plant inside a shelter, and it's never going to be buffeted by the wind. It's never going to develop that toughness of the stem or anything like that. It's never going to have withstood any storms, and it's never going to grow because it's never going to have a stem sturdy enough to be able to develop a trunk to grow. So we need those hardships in life. We need to be able to. It's not right.
Well, that's what I was going to say, though. But, you know, the example we're talking about is they're tropical birds. They should be able to withstand this, okay? I mean, if I had a family member who said things about you or me, or if in this hypothetical situation, if they said things about me and labeled me this and that, and then, you know, when you remove yourself from the situation and then they come back into the situation and you're a different person as an adult, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I kind of like you now. Like, let's be buddies. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, no. You know, that I don't know. I feel like that's like a classic, I don't want to say abuser, but it almost is like a classic abuser where it's like, I've whipped you and beat you around, and then, you know, you should be tough for this. You should be tough because of this. But then when you come back and, well, you don't get on my nerves as much now, so we're cool, right?
It is abusive.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
That doesn't, just because you were in this situation, I don't know. I feel like I'm just rambling, but it's just like, I don't.
It is. The whole Johnny Cash, Boy Named Sue bit of, I named you this so that you get beat the crap up through your entire life. And boy, I made you this way. That's good. No, right. This was still really horrible.
Yeah.
But we don't listen to that and think, truth. We listen to that and think, it's mockery, it's a joke. Because who could seriously do that to a kid?
But I do think people do that. Yeah. And also, though, how many times do you and I as parents think back of like, did I manage that punishment correctly?
Yeah.
You know, if I lose it on my kids, if my patience has finally just hit that wall and I erupt, and I always go back thinking, well, what psychological damage have I just caused?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And so it's not like I don't know, I guess I'm viewing it as like a Violet thing of almost like a proudness of, you should be used to this, right? Within that metaphor, but
we don't think of it that way. We think, oh no, am I breaking my kid?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because we care.
Yeah.
We care. Violet never, I don't know that Violet ever was concerned about, am I damaging my kids or anything like that? Or Beverly. Yeah. I don't think he ever was concerned about that either. She tells Barbara at one point of, your dad was so brokenhearted when you left. Not the others, but when you left, because he had better plans for you. And Barbara says, that's bullcrap. That's not really true. I don't know that Beverly was ever a great dad either. They both, I mean, he is a proud 50-year alcoholic. And she, jokes about being a drug addict, a pill addict. And all the kids, when this tension, this pressure cooker erupts, like all of the kids are experiencing, this is a really horrible time in our life. That's not award-winning parenting.
No.
Right.
They're both very selfish if you think about it.
Yeah.
But is that not terrifying as a parent, though? Because, we have ambitions for ourselves still. And I think about that every day. Am I being too selfish? Like, what is that? Do you know what I'm saying?
I felt really bad yesterday when we were going to lunch because I didn't want to go eat somewhere that had lots of chips and salsa, because I would just fatten up like a tick. And I kind of insisted. And the kids were like, we want Blue Coast. And I was like, I will not. I said, I won't eat. I'll just wait till I get home. And April said, no, we're going to Cheddar's. And then I just sat there and stewed because I was like, Jason, what kind of manipulative person are you? I said, just eat the chips and salsa. So I said, no, it's okay. We can go there. So that's how I've experienced it. one tiny shallow layer.
Well, here you go. Confession time. Mary Beth's like talking about Disney World, and I don't want to go to Disney World. And I keep saying, I didn't go to Disney World as a child. They'll be fine.
I never wanted to go to Disney.
I've never been to Disney World.
I haven't either.
My dad took my son to Disney.
But it's like,
I'm a terrible dad.
My rationale for that is we could spend an entire week at the beach.
Yeah.
Or would the budget for our beach trip is one day in Disney World?
Beach any day.
Right. So it's like, okay, yeah, are they missing out on these experiences at Disney World that they could experience? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But don't you look at me like that. But are we missing out on like a week long worth of things of doing
So much better.
Yeah.
So much more
But
to do.
She told me I was selfish.
No, that's so much. That's thinking about it from a nice, from a productive way. It's not just because I don't like Disney.
Well, I don't like theme parks. I don't
like Disney. I've never wanted to go. I never wanted to.
I'm interested in going, but like if I die not going to Disney, it's not going to be one of those things where I'm laying on my deathbed thinking, oh, I didn't see Mickey. That's going to be my last words, just as a joke now. I didn't see Mickey.
So after you're gone, is that what the family's going to be arguing at the dinner table about? He never took us to Disney. Never.
Yes, yeah.
And Mary Beth will be defending, he loved you. He knew better.
Oh, God.
Mine it was, and I bring this up every once in a while. My mom and dad never got me a pink Barbie Jeep.
Oh, God.
And my dad's reasoning was my older sister Logan had a pink Barbie Jeep, and it died quickly, so it was a waste of money. And he was like, I'm not gonna get you one. And I wanted one so bad, and so I still bring it up and be like, and I never got my pink Barbie Jeep.
I never got a Troy Aikman jersey. I asked for one every year for Christmas. And my brother, of all people, got me one when I was 20 years old. Got me a Troy Aikman jersey for Christmas.
So theater really
this
is
has
about
turned into
unboxing drama.
Childhood drama.
This is all therapy. Speaking of kids and therapy, what about Barbara and Bill's daughter? So Barbara and Bill have a daughter. She's how old?
14.
I thought she said she was 15 at one point, though.
Okay, that's another thing I thought about too when I was reading this was, okay, yeah, everybody has family dysfunctional problems, but this is just a group of really trashy people getting together. Is it not? I mean,
But Bill's an academic, and Barbara is an academic.
But I mean,
yet, yeah.
Bill's an academic, but at the same time, you can be an academic and have no moral values.
Oh, yeah. Right,
And he has none.
Yeah.
He has none.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to be like holier than thou. Like, I've made this trip just for you. I think that Barbara's brought him along, maybe hoping that this might save the marriage. You know?
Yeah.
Because honestly, like, if I were in that situation, I would just rather you stay at home. If you're not really coming to reconnect or whatever. If I didn't, does that make sense?
For those of you who haven't read the play, Barbara and Bill were married and have a daughter named Jean. Bill has pretty much left Barbara for
A student.
what's her name? Cindy?
Sissy.
Something.
can't remember.
She calls her Sissy.
She calls
She calls her Sissy, but her name's Cindy.
Cindy. And she's so much younger. And so that becomes a point of contention too. Yeah. Like maybe Barbara, I don't know. Or is this just the thing you do because he's missing, but we're all convening like it's a funeral before we even know it's a funeral. So since they're still together, isn't Bill supposed to go? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Just him they let her smoke, and then
they don't just let her smoke cigarettes, kids. They know about
weed.
It's the
Is that a weed?
She smokes so much grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like almost celebrant of it because it says he's like, she's out smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he thinks she's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's raising the cool girl.
And Barbara accuses him of
different.
going, she accuses Bill of going through his second adolescence like he's a 15-year-old too. Ew, how weird that he kind of looks up to his own daughter like, oh, that's cool, because he never got to be that way.
That's what I was about to say. Is he like replaying a childhood that he didn't have, and she's smoking grass, and he's, I wish I would have gotten to smoke some weed.
And now he's with a much younger girl.
Yeah.
Well, and it's almost like Barbara and Bill are Beverly and Violet if they hadn't stayed together.
Yeah. Well, and they're definitely replaying parental issues.
Family cycles.
It's over and over again, sins of the father, sins of the mother. So what hope does Gene have of becoming normal? As if normal was anything I guess any of us can experience.
Well, what's the dude's name that I can't remember? Steve from Miami.
Heidebrecht. And Violet gets it wrong too. He says Heidebrecht, and what's she call him? Heider what? You know what? Heidebrecht. Is that German? No, that's German-Irish.
What a contradiction. We're Scotch-Korean.
Yeah, because Barbara's youngest sister, right? It's her youngest sister, Karen, shows up from Florida with her new fiance. And poor Karen, she's been married before. Steve's been married at least 3 times. And Violet says, what did she say? Something like, maybe you'll get it right this time. But Steve, you can tell from the get-go, he's a big sleazebag too. What were you going to say about him?
Well, just like I said, like these people, we talk about family issues, but at the same time, these people I don't think are like good people at their hearts. Do you know what I mean? Because I think Karen knows that Steve's not a good guy. And who is if they've been on 3 marriages? Not to offend anyone, but at some point when you're on your 4th marriage, maybe you should do a little introspection, right? Am I the issue?
Take a break.
Yeah. And so Karen obviously has a low moral bar.
Yeah.
And Steve, it's on the floor. And Bill is right there with him. Yeah. And honestly, Barbara lets her daughter do these things. Like, let's
be
stop.
a mom.
Like, I was going to say, let's stop acting like Bill's the issue. You're letting her smoke weed just as much as he is. Yeah. So these people are very, very low character people. So I guess I'm kind of making myself feel better here because, at least in our situation, like we're not terrible people like that. Do you know what I mean? Like
Aristotle says we should watch this and be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God. There's some reality to it, but also I guess that gets into like hyperbole. Yeah. I think about a lot of like Jesus's teachings. Like sometimes he'd be very hyperbolic because it's kind of like, hey, pay attention to this. And I'm sure that's the issue here, but still, you just got a cast of just people whose morality is in the basement.
Well, Jean, she goes on a grocery store trip with them before the funeral dinner, and they bring home the wine. And Jean immediately rushes to the TV set to watch Phantom of the Opera. And Barbara has an issue with that. She immediately was like, this is what you were so crabby about the start time of the funeral for? This is why you didn't want to go to the grocery store? Oh, yeah, because it has a colorized scene of it. I was trying to think, why Phantom of the Opera? Like, I don't get why Tracy Letts used Phantom of the Opera. I guess it could have been anything. It could have been Les Mis or whatever. I don't know that I know Phantom of the Opera that well.
I don't know it enough to even comment on it.
Do you?
I've watched it, and I've been thinking about it, but I really...
I really don't know much of anything about Phantom at all. I had a former student Elena Sims. I don't know if you remember her, and she loves it like all the time about it. She sings it and all of it. So maybe I should ask her. But my gut
She
tells
would be
me
a good Christine.
Oh, okay.
She kind of looks like, which Emmy Rossum played her in the movie adaptation.
That's the main lead for it, right?
With Gerard Butler. That one. He's the Phantom.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. See, I know nothing about this. I was thinking of like the 1930s black and white one where it's like, he looks ugly or something like that. My gut was telling me, oh, okay, well, even though the Phantom is kind of sympathetic, isn't he also kind of like this lurking kind of freak who's trying to like steal this girl away, get
And
this
she's
girl
innocent.
away?
She wears a white dress.
Well, Jean's not as innocent as she puts on,
Right.
but she is a 14-year-old girl, and you see scenes of Steve sleazing around like some predatory teenager himself.
Well, and he's masked at first. He's got this cool car, and he's coming off as the cool guy. But
Right.
then later, the mask comes off, and you realize he's just a huge creep.
Sisters and daughters of America, please, anytime something like that happens, let there be red flags going off. Let there be red alarms somewhere going off. This guy may not be good. But yeah, he's like, even like, it's gross how he's hitting on her. It really is gross how he's hitting on her.
But you can tell, immediately
yeah.
what this guy's about to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
That it's going to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jean tells him that she's 15, and not that that excuses anything. I'm just saying she's being dishonest. And then later on when they get caught, Karen, in a way, defends him.
But he even outs himself
I know he's an idiot.
because she's like, she's 14, Steve. And he goes, she told me she was 15.
As if that made anything right, you know?
I mean, it was like the way that Karen phrased it. It wasn't the first time something like that. It made me feel like she had caught him before in a similar situation.
Yeah. She says, I'm sure Jean's not being entirely truthful about this, that she's not entirely innocent of what's going on here. I don't care whether she told him she was 15. I don't care whether she told him she was 18 or whatever. She's a 14-year-old child. And dude, Steve, you're a grown man. And this is supposed to be your next marriage. You're a grown man.
Well, she said something like, I know what I'm signing up for.
Yeah.
Like, I know what it is. I know who he is. And like,
To me, that kind of made me think that Karen really does have a clue about who she is as a person, that she's not strong, and she feels such low self-esteem about herself that she feels like she's never going to have a good opportunity, and Steve's the best that she's got right now. And man, what are we willing to excuse? What are we willing to lie to ourselves about if it affirms our narrative? Like, I've known women in my family who have been either married to, in one case, married to another dirtbag, or in another case, wanting to get married to a dirtbag, and the things that they would be okay with. And it's like, you can have so much better. There are other guys. Heck, even if you never find another man, there are people out there who will treat you better. You deserve better from you before Steve Heidebrecht. And they do. They embrace him. They run right back to him, just like Karen does.
but I mean, he's going to take you to Belize.
To Belize. That's where their honeymoon's going to be.
And she wrote about that in her diary.
Steve Heidebrecht. Ugh. He's also into some shady business deals too, right? With all the red tape that he was telling Bill about, that he's got, what is it, that they got offshore accounts for the offshore accounts until they're not? Something like that.
Well, you and I were talking about the other day, New York or LA. But I think I would really prefer to go to Miami. I would love to see Miami.
Okay.
However, we know Miami's reputation, and I think that there's a reason he's from Miami, because immediately when they say they're from Miami,
You get a
you think
picture.
like, okay, yeah, some vice lord or something like that. Yeah, so
Tommy Bucks from Justified. The very first episode
Heidebrecht.
opens.
Steve. Bill, another thing I had on here was that when Bill is leaving at the end and Barbara says out loud the part that neither of them really wants to confront, I think might have been one of the most emotional parts for me, like to really get me.
oh yeah,
She's yelled at him and cussed him up and down. He's yelled back, and they're just never going to get back together.
That's just Bill's character. I know that we're all annoyed with him, but when you just think about like how self-righteous that he thinks he is, like we said, you're letting your daughter smoke. Yeah. Then he's also just continues to be like, I'm here for you, Barbara. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for you. And then when she's mad, he's like, why are you mad at me? Right? Like, dude, you're cheating on your wife openly. Everyone knows about it, but the people that you're with. And then he just tries to like talk rationally to her, but the rational. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I was reading that part, when she says, I love you, ... And then he just leaves. I felt so horrible for her because I was like, this is the reality. We can lie to ourselves about a lot of things, and you can try to make things happen or whatever, but he's never going to come back. And I don't know, this is just you from now on, Barbara. That like you are completely alone, which is like Violet by the end of the play, because Bev, he's taken his exit from stage left too. And he's never coming back. So now you, Violet, are alone. Barbara really does become her mother.
Well, I told one of you guys, I don't remember if anyways, I told one of you guys, I felt like at the end of the play, she was her mom because they were saying the same things and arguing the same things.
She was lashing out at Jean.
Yeah, and they both were in their robes when they got downstairs. Yeah. So, she definitely did become her.
That was another part I wanted to talk about too, becoming your parent. Mom and Dad, I love you. But I think we're all terrified of becoming. We're terrified of becoming parents too.
Why is that? I mean, because I think my parents are great.
I know.
Why is that?
I don't know. We've got one over here who's going to become like her parents someday, right?
I don't know. Do you want to ask her?
I don't know. Ask her.
Hey, come here. Come here. Well, would you be upset if you became like me when you grew up?
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Thank you. Love you. You'll complete me.
But see, that's also good parenting too.
Okay. Right? She knows that's what she's supposed to say.
I had good parents. I'm just also, I think we are all on some level, I don't want to be my mom and dad. We don't want to repeat whatever mistakes, right? But I don't know, you want to be your own person too.
I don't know. Do you think it's we just, for some reason, I don't know. Do we always think our parents are just a little uncool? And then we're like, oh no.
Where did I see this? I saw these drawings of different human relationships and how sometimes we think of them as just being parallel lines that go side by side. But at times, like when you're a child, that line is so close. The parent-child line is so close until teenage years. And then one line draws away from the other until they're like way out here. But then they come back together later in life. And then the parent line stopped and the kids line kept going. And I was like, oh, I didn't want to see that. I think especially in a situation like Violet and Barbara's, you don't want to become the parent. And here she's recognized, oh Lord, I am becoming my mom. Barbara, she really takes control of it after the funeral dinner when she seizes the pills from her and screams out that great line that I'm in charge now. I'm running things.
You don't get it, do you? I'm running things now.
Blackout.
Right? And I liked that part. I was like, okay, Barbara, that's a protagonist.
And then they go on the
kind of
pill
thing.
raid.
And Barbara even says it in the way she says, you know the drill. The kids have had to do this before. Oh, that's a toxic, abusive situation. And they go on a pill hunt, they purge it, and Barbara starts meting it out to her. Even when she serves her the catfish dinner, and it's like she starts barking at her, eat the fish, eat the fish. And they're cussing at each other, and they're just, you're becoming your mom.
What about, you'll have to edit this out, the person that lives in the attic?
Jonna.
What about Jonna's character though? Because she's the one like making the food, and she's just kind of like, "I'll clean your mess up,"
right?
And just kind of like silently comes in there, and but also Jonna kind of doesn't have a family, you know.
She also plays hero to Jean. I mean, she's the one that stops the Steve thing.
Yeah.
What the heck is up with Jana's role in this play? Mm-hmm. She lives upstairs in a room. Mm-hmm. She's witness to all of this. Mm-hmm. She assists them, but she's not of them.
And she's mistreated by Barbara.
Yeah.
Well, and
Because she's
I
always
mean,
like, yeah, there's the Indian right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I meant Violet. That's who I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Violet. Yeah.
Well, and Maddie Faye and Charles, they talk about it. And Charles is like, get me another beer. And Maddie Faye's like, she's not your housekeeper.
Why did those two remind me of Kevin's aunt and uncle from Home Alone?
Right.
They did for some reason. Was it Uncle Frank?
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Frank, yeah.
What you did, you little jerk?
I really don't know what Jana's role is supposed to be. I guess if I got one question to ask Tracy Letts now, that would probably be it. Like, what the heck with Jana? Like, what's she supposed to do for us in this play?
Well, I mean, it's like I was saying, she doesn't have a family, and you've got this really dysfunctional family, and yet Jana kind of fits in with them. I mean, like, I know that we were talking about how she's like outside of them and abusive, kind of abused, but at the same time, she stands up for Jean, and she's there to clean the messes up, and maybe she's grateful to have a group of people to be around. That do you know what I mean? Like, maybe
But I mean,
there's
she
like
also reminds them, I work for you. There's a time at the end where she does not care to be like, you pay me to be here. Like, she's very clear about that. Like, I don't think.
I mean, maybe it's because you actually needed somebody with some virtue in this play because no one else has it. So we've got Jana, who is the only actual good person in the whole play.
And then Violet keeps her in the end. And it's basically like the only person that's going to be around you is a person you're paying.
Okay, this is a stretch. This might be chicken boning it. But she's also a Native American character in Oklahoma. And the whole point of whether we call them Indians or Native Americans or not is a point of conflict for some of the whites in this play. Is this Tracy Letts, I don't know, giving a nod to white American society and Native American culture. Like, she's here, she's among us, but they don't see her as part of them. It's like she lives in her own bubble in connection to us. And I don't know, by the end of it, Violet is looking for comfort from her, something that she's abused or overstepped or whatever.
Did you not think that there was like parallels to Miss Daisy with that too, though? Because, I mean, at the end of the play, she only has one friend, and it's like you said, it's this person that has been paid to be your companion.
Yeah.
And she's seen everything horrible that you've done and said.
Yeah.
But she still has to be there because you're paying her.
But here's the difference, though, I think, between Violet and Miss Daisy. Doesn't Miss Daisy say at the end, you're my only friend?
My only friend.
Yeah. Like, she has that, like, realization of you're the only, even though you're paid to me, you're, because let's be honest, I mean, they didn't have to stay, you know. Why can't I remember the
Hoke.
Hoke, yeah.
Well, Hoke isn't paid by him at the end. Hoke still comes back to visit her.
Well, he is, though.
I mean, but he's not driving her.
Yeah,
by the
right.
end.
Yeah. But also, though, Hoke had the chance to leave because when they went to Mobile, the family was like, why don't you just come live with us in Mobile? So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's not forced to stay, but he's, like you said, he's still being paid. That interaction is still being monetized. But
But Jana, instead of being, you're my only friend, Jana does remind her, hey, you're paying me.
yeah.
It's a different relationship. It's parallel, but yeah.
Yeah.
She's looking up something over here.
She's looking at the trash can, man. Old Trashy.
I didn't know if Hannah had something that she was going to point to.
No, I was just looking back at the end. They're both singing the song at the end.
Oh, When You're Gone. Yeah. Because they do that in the movie too, When You're Gone. Something I noticed different in the movie toward the end, I can't even believe I forgot to talk about this too, but toward the end, I noticed that Barbara, when she's driving away, she leaves Violet at the end. She's like, this has become too toxic. I can't live here anymore. I'm becoming the problem. So she just leaves. And Violet is left alone with Jana. But in the movie, it shows Barbara driving down the road, pulling over and looking out at the plains. And I'm not sure what to make out of that. Because she's just kind of like looking out at the horizon, and you can see she's about to cry. And I can't quite tell if she's smiling or hurt or, you know, I'm sure it's a mix of both. But what are we supposed to take out of that? And then Barbara gets back in the truck and keeps on driving. past a sign that says, Boulder, 645 miles and all these different destinations.
It all goes back to Boulder.
It does. It does. Boulder Free Zone right here, this way. This way. I didn't know if that was supposed to be a different comment of, I don't know, maybe if you just read the play or watched the play, it's a tough decision that Barbara has to make to just leave her mother and cut ties because this is unhealthy. This is a death trip for me. But the movie makes it, I don't know, more sympathetic to Barbara by doing that. I don't know.
I'm just thinking too, this is kind of maybe a hair off topic, but how separate of worlds are Boulder and Osage County?
Oh, mountain versus plains, right?
Have y'all ever been to Oklahoma?
No.
It's just flat.
My aunt lives out there in Tulsa, outside Tulsa.
But also, I mean, I know I've told you, I've been to Boulder too, and you're literally at the base of a mountain, a huge mountain. And so you've also got this, we were talking about coming back from where you came from, and maybe we're not all the same as our family, and Barbara's coming from Boulder, which is mountainous and completely different, rugged. And then you've got the plains. They even talk about it's like a sickness. It's you got the plains. I don't know. It's just really kind of interesting to think about.
Oklahoma's family, but Boulder is career.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're separated that way. Yeah. And then also, I feel like the college the dad was at was kind of just like a little local college. And then they're at the University of Colorado, which
That's right.
I mean, it's a state flagship. Pretty, especially in Boulder, that's like the University of Colorado. It'd be like being at UT Knoxville here. So
I think it's a little open-ended for me too, because Bill leaves and he takes Jean with him. And Barbara is left with Violet alone, and then Barbara cuts ties at the end alone. And in both the movie and the play, Barbara leaves by herself. Is Barbara ever going to get Jean back? Or will that ever be a thing? I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I think that Barbara is the parent Jean wanted, because she was so mad at her dad. Because didn't she even say something about like he doesn't care? He's got a child for a girlfriend or something like that. So I think that Barbara is the parent that Jean desires. I think Jean almost think that her like smoking is her crying out for structure of some sorts. In a sense, that's kind of how I took it.
But Barbara also connected with her dad way more, right, than the mother. Except by the end, Barbara sees herself becoming her mom. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of complexity there for, I don't know, who we connect with, father, mother. Who are we more like? Who are we going to become?
Because, I mean, Jean did go after the funeral with her dad and Steve to go pick up the wine.
Yeah.
And she sat in the middle of the car between her dad and Steve.
Yeah. Speaking of not knowing yourself and your family, Charles and Maddie Faye and their son, Little Charles.
Little Charles.
What do you think about them, Hannah?
Little Charles.
What's wrong with Little Charles?
He's unemployed.
He's such a failure to launch. Is that an act, though, or is that genuine? Is he really a failure to launch, or is that an act?
I think he's been beat down by Maddie Faye over the years. And I think it's because, I think Maddie Faye knew his father, that Big Charles was not Little Charles's father. Beverly was. And I think it came out, she was angry at herself, and it came out to Little Charles.
So if we're talking about how this play is about family trauma unloading, and I don't know, a lot of that ugliness can come out in funerals because we get together and now there's sadness and resentment, and that just kind of comes to a head. Isn't it also a time when you find out secrets about family and it's like, oh, I never knew that. This family, you told me that there were some secrets to it, and I didn't see them coming. Ivy, the middle sister, admits that she's finally found a man. And then we come to find out it's her own cousin, Little Charles. And I was like, ooh, this is a Greek tragedy right here. And then you find out later, Little Charles is actually their half brother, because Beverly and Maddie Faye, their aunt, had a child together. So Ivy and Little Charles are not just cousins, they're brother and sister. This really is Greek drama of being blind about these relationships and who you are and the sins of the father. Little Charles is a failure to launch, and I get that he's a real dope. He's really inept. But there were times that I thought he's doing this on purpose. Like when he brought in the casserole to the dinner and immediately his mom starts deriding him about stuff and he drops the casserole on the floor and shatters it. And I thought that was on purpose. That was not an accident.
Even the waking up late, that was on purpose. He even admitted that was on purpose.
So how much of this is just an act, Little Charles, just to get back at the people that, I don't know, are making you mad in your life? Did you talk to me about Charles knowing or maybe wondering if Little Charles wasn't his son? Did you talk to me about that? I felt like somebody did. I noticed something while watching it last night at the very beginning of the movie. Charles and Maddie Faye show up at the house before anybody else. And she's already she's really tearing into her son. Like, he didn't do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'd have to quote it verbatim. But he says that Bev was a complicated man. Like, that's what it was. She was complaining that Beverly had left, and she's told Violet so many times, I'd just leave his stuff on the porch. If you ever did that to me, Charles. And he said Beverly was a complicated man. And the subject comes up that's like Little Charles. And she says, don't go making excuses for Little Charles. And he says, you don't think Beverly and Little Charles share a complication? And I was like, knowing what I know, I was like, oh no, does he know? Because that's a seed just buried from the very beginning of the movie, that he's a complicated guy, just like Beverly, just like Little Charles. You don't think that they share a little bit of that? Do you think maybe that's why he shares sympathy towards him so much? Is like he sees her as like mistreating him because of her mistakes? Yeah. They get into a heated argument later after the dinner, and he pushes Ivy and Charles out of the room, and Barbara kind of witnesses it, and he is tearing Maddie Faye up. He says, I just buried a man that I loved, and to hear you tear into your son dishonors his memory. And I was like, oh, not because it's a funeral day. It's not because you're being cruel to your son on the same day we had to bury a friend of mine.
But it's basically like you're tearing into the man himself.
Yeah, you're tearing into his son. Like physically, that's his son, and the day he was buried too. So I really just wondered, is Charles supposed to know? And man, that's a heck of a thing to have to live with, knowing that your wife, his sister, I don't know, had a kid with him. That's
their only child, isn't it?
Their only child. Their only one. Oh, the lies and secrets we tell ourselves. So what makes this play difficult to teach in a high school classroom? Is there anything?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's approved for all audiences.
I was thinking more appropriate than Romeo and Juliet.
We should talk about that sometime. It does have the cussers everywhere. Like, it is loaded down with cussers. I don't know. Isn't Steinbeck also loaded down with some cussers?
Chapter 4 of Mice and Men, yes.
What do you think? What's your gut tell you? Because you've read of Mice and Men more recently than I have. Is Steinbeck on par with this kind of language? Or is he more or less?
I don't know. You know, I kind of talked to my kids about this today, especially our juniors are. I mean, I know that they're not adults, but, you know, we've got 17-year-old juniors. You've got 18-year-old seniors. The words that we hear them use in the hall, sometimes even in class, it's kind of like, I don't know that for them that cuss words are necessarily such an inciting place. I know it is for parents, and I get that on a level. I get that. Yeah. I think with Steinbeck, you know, I think that Letts uses the reference to Jonna as an Indian as kind of a slur. And Steinbeck uses the N-word so explosively that I feel like that gets in a classroom so much more attention. Do you know what I mean? As like we read this today. We read. I mean, I've even seen memes about chapter 4 of Mice and Men. So I just think that, I don't know, because I mean, in the Landbreakers, it doesn't have a lot of cuss words, but there's been a few GDs and things like that. I mean, they just kind of take it, and I mean, it is just language that I don't know that should be every day, but we hear it every day. And I don't know. That's a good question. Is it on par? Like, should the language be the separation? I don't know the answer to that question, but I do think that there are slurs that are being used on purpose, like not just because, that would be cool to call her an Indian, or do you know what I mean? Or anything
They
like
reflect
that.
a real voice.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we talked about with the kids. Like, why does Tinkler Harrison have slaves and no one else has slaves? Right? It's not because Ely thought, I'll just sprinkle some slaves here. It's because they have a purpose to the character. Well, why does Violet continue to call her that? Because she's dehumanizing her.
I have never thought about this before, but you've kind of put me on to like an epiphany. What's he say in the movie Hook? Lightning has just struck my brain.
Well, I thought it was this one.
Give us the hook. I feel like high school English classrooms used to teach things that were more audacious, or you show these traumas and stuff because society is so safe or so normal that you all need to be made aware there are people out there who live like this. But I'm looking at the things that make this a challenging play to use. The overwhelming coarse language, which you yourself have said. I mean, we hear them say the same exact things at the same frequency. Yeah. The repeated, he's an alcoholic, she's a pill addict. They also know about alcohol addiction and substance abuse.
Gene smoking cigarettes, smoking weed.
They know about that too. And I hear plenty of kids who joke about that on a daily basis. The issues of Steve making moves on a young girl and like the predatory nature of all of that. And yet they also live in a world where this is in the news every day about people being named in files and who's complicit in this. And maybe the high school ELA classroom is not the arena anymore where you come to read about these things so we can show you what the real world is like. Maybe now this is the escapist fiction classroom, that we hear so much of it in the real world that we want our kids to not encounter that when they go to high school. Like maybe that's part of the resistance of, well, I don't want my baby reading that. I don't want my kids reading that, is because they want something safe here during the day. We hear so much about really ugly things in the real world now.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
I still feel like we need to have real accountable talk about it. I mean, even here, am I dancing around saying the word Epstein files? But I mean, that's everywhere right now. And maybe you were saying European leaders are being held accountable for it. But here in America, like it's sensationalized, but we don't see anything taking place about it.
Literally nothing is
Nothing. And I mean, there was so much more consternation about a Super Bowl show, but nothing about all of these other egregious things that have taken place.
Yeah.
So isn't that more of a hypocrite of me to not have accountable talk about those things in a classroom? I mean, it's not necessarily in my standards anywhere, but it was a point I made with my class. Like, maybe I don't have a state standard for it, but don't I have a human standard? Don't I have a moral obligation to have honest conversations?
Well, that's what you and I talked about on Friday. You know, the standards are there and they're great. We'll teach the standards. But also, I feel like more importantly, we're teaching these kids how to be humans. And not that mom and dad can at home, but some can't. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever encountered this, and I encountered this more when I taught 6th grade. I would call home with a behavior issue, more so with middle schoolers and high schoolers. And I have been told more than once, well, when they're at school, it's your job to parent them, not me. And if it's my job to parent, then
I'm a real good parent.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
I'm about to teach them some good stuff then. I'm about to teach them how to be a decent human.
Yeah. Well, then that would be my pivot now. And maybe it's not, I don't know, maybe this is not appropriate for all audiences or all classrooms. But if I'm thinking about a classroom, like maybe an AP classroom or whatever, but man, we got to have some accountable talk because they're going right out of here and they're hearing Epstein files. They're hearing all of this stuff left and right and nothing's getting done about it. So we're tolerating that. Well, then how are we any different as a country from the family in this play? How are we any different? If our parents, Beverly and Violet, if our parents in this country are just letting this go on, like, are we really any better if we're going to be like Barbara and Bill and just continue to pass the savings on to our kids? Like, we got to do better. America can do better. That's my take now.
I wish I had some theme music for you right there. Jason Crockett.
Dun, dun, dun. I do have some trivia on here too.
I think that it would be difficult to present this to a classroom because, like you were saying, I had difficulty reading it at times because it felt too real. And I do think that, like you said, I mean, I had a pretty good childhood growing up and I got a pretty good family. But I mean, I told Hannah something had happened with my mom when I started reading this, and I was like really upset with her. And it was just really difficult to read because it was kind of like, I feel like I'm living this to an extent. And I think I was probably being dramatic, but I think that our students are living this stuff. You know, we were talking about just low morale or morality in people. I think that, I mean, you can just see it with some of them. You know that you can hear it. That's what I should say. You can hear it in some of them that you're just parroting what you're hearing at home, and there's the morality's in the basement. That's what I was saying. Some parents get upset with some of the stuff we read, and maybe they're being too protective. But at on a level, we can't blame them. You know, maybe they're just trying to do what's best for their kids. Some parents don't do anything at all for their kids.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, and they only get mad at us because maybe, like you said, we're not parenting them the way they want us to parent them. Do you know what I mean?
But they told me that I was a parent when they were
I know. I know.
They told me.
But I think that would be the hardest part to present this to. I could see this being like a more upper division college English lit study.
Right. Oh, I don't envision this for freshmen. No. Anything, I'm thinking it's got to be on a senior level somewhere. And I'm looking at my regular senior classes right now, and I think, man, plenty of you are either ill-equipped or immature for just reading something like this. But then there's also this underlayment voice to me that says, but we have to make them grow up. We have to make them grow up.
Well, and I mean, how many of them would you engage if you did read something like this and start having conversations of, like, how many of them would start engaging with you because this is what their home is like at home? And they might actually have something to add to the conversation because maybe their mom is Violet.
I can think of a handful of them right now who would start out by being like so shocked by like the language or some of the things that they'd be like, dude, he is totally doing. And I could see them having that about it. But that also just kind of gives me an open window to say, I know. And really, let's be honest about how ugly this is. Let's be honest about how cruel this is. And let's just be honest and talk about it.
Let's be honest. We know these people. These people might be living in our houses. You know, I mean, just
let's name names, and then I'm going to start writing. Okay.
Well, funny you mentioned. I'm going to give a list out. No, I think that if you had a group of seniors who could approach something seriously, then you could talk about these things. But I was just thinking about how these kids, everything is just meme culture. And that's why you couldn't get away with it. Really, because some of the stuff that we read requires some serious gravity. And you can't sometimes, like, we present this stuff at this like deeper thinking text, this HQIM, so that we present this stuff because we want them to think about difficult things because that's what shapes us as human beings. And we try to present those, but man, it's like sometimes I don't want you to look at line 6, 7 and think, oh my God, here it comes.
right?
You're not focusing. You're not
Right.
focusing on these things. And I get it. I know I'm on a rant right now. I get it because not every kid's going to step into our classroom and buy into the literature. But
Well, it's not even a question of wanting the literature. You're talking about maturity.
right, yeah. And I do think like for us in our level, I'm not into this, so my immaturity will stand out even more. Where like in my junior class, if they're not bought into what we're reading, they're still staying quiet. I just think that you just can't get past some of these topics because it's just we are too immature. We are too immature. That's what I was telling you guys the other day. Some of the stuff that people will get upset about that come across sometimes, we would have not thought twice about that when I was in high school. Not because we were low morality, but because we knew we could talk about racial issues. We knew that we could talk about, we were sitting in class with black kids, and we could sit there and talk about those things because it mattered. And we knew that we could look at things like this and family issues and struggles and adultery with the scarlet letter and the sins that we do do you know what I'm saying? We could talk about these things because we knew that it was real life. And I don't know if it's a shelter type thing. I honestly think it's here's an iPad. I'm going to go smoke a cig or I don't know, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
I feel like we were more mature.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I don't think it's like a sensitivity type of thing or anything like that. It's just kids they're just not ready for these conversations and they should be. That's what I was telling you when we talked about fences. You asked me, should we teach this in the classroom? And it's at some point, I think it's almost to the point where it's like, we have to regardless because no one else is teaching you about this. And when you leave high school, you have to vote. And you can't take anything and you've serious. Not had a mature conversation yet.
I mean, there's some seniors that can vote.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Scary.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the boomer or whatever, but I'm just thinking like my impression of previous generations is that parents or society just had higher expectations out of your behavior from a younger age. That you think about some of the substitute teachers we have that come through here which I'm 46. Now imagine somebody who's in their 60s or even early 70s coming through to sub for your classes and what's their expectation of those kids' behavior? And if they're talking or if they're saying something, like, are they going to have the same relationship or interactions with that kid that you and I might? Because our expectations have had to adjust by what's coming at us. And the kids who replace us, their expectations are going to have to adjust. I saw a teacher the other day say that in some ways, maybe we need to stop meeting kids where they are. Like we always say, we got to meet kids where they are and serve them where they are. You wish they could read, but we just got to meet them where they are. Well, maybe in some ways we can't just meet them where they are. We actually have to, have higher expectations for behavior or something. And maybe that starts by saying, you're going to get a serious look at this play and shut up. Probably shouldn't say that part. I don't know.
Well, you were saying that a minute ago, and it pains me that To Kill a Mockingbird is read in 8th grade now because I truly don't think that they are grasping the seriousness of that story.
Yeah.
We get so many 9th graders that are like, oh, I hated that book. Oh, that was such a stupid book. And I'm like, you don't even realize how important that book is.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a part of scripted curriculum. Yeah.
Well, I also brought that up to Valerie the other day, and I said, what's it going to take for me to wheel that back over to the high school? I said, I can be convincing. I can make you some deals on stuff. I said, I know it's part of the scripted curriculum, but I'm hearing that teachers don't like to teach it, kids don't like to get it, and we have been successful with it at the high school. What do I got to do to get it brought back over to the high school? And she didn't have an answer for me that day, but she did the other day said, don't worry, I'm still thinking about how we can make this work for you.
Because, I read it in your class in 10th grade.
I read it with Amy Hawkins.
Yeah, 10th grade, right? 10th grade.
I don't know. I just think about what made high school special. I actually talked to my wife about this the other night. because we were talking about a specific person at this school. And I told her I loved high school. We all loved high school. I mean, we're here teaching high school. But what made high school special to me is my teachers treated me like a little adult. Do you know what I'm saying? And I took that serious. I was rowdy, and if you asked Amy Hawkins, she's probably going to say, well, Drew sucked. But the conversations that we got to have about these issues that were coming about meant something to me. You know, they meant something to me and shaped me as a person. And for the positive, I chose my politics on my own volition, not because of something a teacher told me. I became a good human because of the people that were around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the politics that were ever taught to me. And if race is a part of politics, then something is wrong.
Right.
That's something is wrong. But anyways, those conversations meant something to me, and some of those we're not able to really have right now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like when I turn on Romeo and Juliet, the play version, the actor that plays Romeo is black. And it's I always now get a reaction from that. They're like, oh my gosh, he's black. You didn't ever tell us he was black. And I'm like, guys, it really doesn't matter. You know, he's just a good actor in a good play. But no, that's not right. You
Says
know,
who? Says who?
But I'm just saying, like,
No, I know. But that's what I would say to the kid is like, says who?
yeah,
Well, because it's supposed to be in Italy. Are we in Italy? Is this show in Italy?
but that's not.
What
even,
does it matter?
But that's not even their answer. They just assumed he was white.
Yeah.
You know, my assumption was this, and that Wampus cat again. But I don't know. I know I really got on a rant there, but you know,
But no, I mean that their assumption's not even that. They just, well, how can Romeo be anything but white?
exactly. And
Well, because they live in a world that is anything, that is entirely white.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, is that, I don't know.
They need some eye-opening experiences. They need some maturity.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is you can't even show a play with ethnicities in it without a few kids in class just absolutely losing their minds over
Yeah.
it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we would not have, and I'm not trying to say back in my day and we were so much better, we just wouldn't even thought twice about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet, and Mercutio is black, and we didn't even think anything of it. You know,
'Cause he's
he
not
even shows up in a dress.
I was about to say he
And
cross
we were
dresses for the party.
We were just like, that fits his character because this dude is insane. You know, it was never like oh my gosh, like it fit the character.
But yet, I showed it last semester, and the kids lost their mind over that scene.
Like good way or bad way?
Bad way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just, I don't know.
Well, you had said before when I had asked a question, is this something that we can talk about with our classrooms? And you said, Crockett, I'm getting to the point where I have to stop caring about it and we just have to start.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's just part of it is we have to stop being so nice guy about it. And it's like we got to have some honest conversations because otherwise we're just hiding in the room reading stories about cats and mittens, and that's a real cute story. And now let's go back to letting whatever happen out there.
I guess that's what all this kind of comes back to is something you always talk about is like, is this chips or is this steak or is this chicken nuggets or is this, you know, and if you at home are not feeding them anything but memes and TikTok, and then we at school are bound by scripted things that where we can't talk about things that mean something. And I'm not trying to say I want to read inappropriate. I feel like I'm a pretty good judge at what's inappropriate and what's appropriate. You know, I have children of my own, right? I always consider everything that I do as a teacher. I always consider what I want a teacher to do and say and be around these kids like I am. Okay. That's like I said though, when they get to the real world That's why the literature matters, is because we've talked about these tough things, and I'm sorry, but life is really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to say that. I hate to be pessimist, but it's a tough life.
Yeah.
Life is hard, and if you've not been able to process things through literature and have those things come up, then it's literally, you're gonna splat up against the wall.
Yeah. Beverly quotes at the very beginning of the play from T.S. Eliot, "Life is long," and says that, I mean, there's nothing necessarily copyrighted about life is long, except T.S. Eliot was the one to write it down. So now when we say it, we have to say life is long, T.S. Eliot. And that line is supposed to underscore this hollowness of the American life, or of just life in general, that the modern world is hollow. It's maybe an empty ideal not worth pursuing, that life is not just tough, life is long, and y'all going to need to buck up. I do have some trivia before we finish out.
Actually, no, I'm just kidding.
Do it. What?
I literally was just kidding.
Oh, dang. Apparently, Tracy Letts based it on his own family, notably his own grandfather's suicide, like Beverly. And when the play first premiered, Tracy Letts' dad played Beverly. Can you imagine having to play a character that is based on your father that did the same thing?
Yeah.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
He wanted all of the stage actors to get to be in the movie, and Hollywood picked none of them. But Hollywood, I think, did a pretty good job on picking who they did. Meryl Streep suggested that the cast live together during the filming to help build chemistry. That she thought they should all live
They should have method acted this whole thing.
right?
And then everybody lived together, and just Meryl Streep could have got strung out on pills every day.
Well, she and Margot Martindale hosted potlucks for all the cast members and everybody.
I hate potlucks.
I do too.
I do too.
I do too. I hate work potlucks.
I just hate potlucks.
I'm grossed out by them because I don't know what your kitchen looks like at home. I don't know if you have a cat or a dog crawling on your counters. I don't know if you're smoking a cigarette while you're cooking. Did you lick your finger and stick it in the bowl when you were?
Well, I took that Foxfire book to Sunday lunch because I was going to show my cousin Ryan, because he's like a real outdoorsman type guy, and my mom is into like the old Appalachian like way of living, and I thought, well, they'll like looking at this. And we were laughing because there was a recipe for turtle, there's a recipe for squirrel, okay, and my sister-in-law, she said, I went to a church potluck one time and we didn't know any better, and they had fried squirrel and not told anyone, and it looked like chicken, but it did not taste like chicken. It tasted like squirrel. And that's what I said. I go, and that's why I don't eat at potlucks, because you might be trying to sneak a squirrel in there.
Ugh. Or people who don't know to keep things refrigerated or not, or whatever. No. The production crew bought, so in the movie, the house, that's like a notable house for that area, and they bought the house and refurbished it for the show. It was called the Boulanger Family Home. It was built in 1918 from a Sears and Roebuck catalog, like when you used to be able to order houses and build them. And then Gary Cole, if you've ever seen Office Space, he's the manager, Bill Lumberg, in the movie, who's like, Peter, I'm going to need you. He was originally considered for the role of Steve Heidebrecht, but he declined it. And they also were going to give it to Jim Carrey.
Oh, gosh.
Who was Steve?
Dermot Mulroney.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
You'd know him if you saw him. You'd know him if you saw him. I mean, he was good for it. He's good for it. He's sleazy.
Did he say, yeah, I'm going to have to say
you to
no to that?
No, she told me she was 15. No. The three daughters are all coincidentally played by actresses named Julia, Julianne, and Juliet. Did you notice that? They're all that. And then there was just also that the book of poetry that Beverly Weston is supposed to have written. It was called Meadowlark, and it's a bird that's an Indian symbol for hope and joy. Two things they don't have. So, that's it.
I have a trivia fact for you.
Oh, do it. Hit me.
Okay. So this play is actually inspired by another piece of writing. Hold on. Let me It's named August, Osage County. And it was written in 1955 by Howard Starks. And that was Tracy Letts' mentor. And it's a poem about a husband has died, the wife is on her deathbed, and the children have gathered at the home while the mother is dying. And it just talks about what it means to age and grow old. And so it's death and aging and growing old.
I got to look that up.
Yeah. It's short.
I had a poem that paired with it that I had seen a couple of years ago when summer was coming to an end. My birthday's in August, but you all were talking about August, and it's like, God, August is the most unrelenting, heatful month. I hate that we start back to school in August because it's just so hot. And I would way rather be out at a pool or a lake in August than be sitting in this classroom sweating to death. But there was a small poem called The End of August, and it says, I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. That's a quote from Robert Frost. It's the end of August, and I'm tired. The garden is tired. The grass is tired. Everything is tired. We have all had too much summer. Bring on the cold. Bring on the frost. Bring on all that death and destruction. Let's have some quiet and some peace. Let us rest. Give us emptiness. That's the end of it. And when I read it in August, I was kind of like, yes, just let it all burn down and be cold. Please just let it all. Maybe there are times in our life that we're just like, you know what? It's overstayed its welcome. That this is just done. We just need it to be done.
I agree.
And that's how Barbara feels at the end of it. I got to get away. Heck, all of them do. I got to get away.
Isn't Osage County where most of the events of Killers of the Flower Moon take place?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, how about that?
Pretty sure.
I didn't even think about that.
Yep. So there's another connection for you.
It's a Pulitzer Prize winning play. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads.
I gave it 5 stars.
What did you do? 3 stars?
I was going to give it 5 stars, but I wanted the Pulitzer Prize and they didn't give it to me, so I gave it a 2 stars. No, I gave it a 5 star.
Garbage representation of America. It's utterly terrible. It's not at all truthful. Who are you, Tracy Letts? Tracy Letts, you're a terrible person. You're a terrible person.
Loser.
Loser.
What a loser.
I have nothing else I could possibly top. I have nothing. Second Stage is a Free Zone Radio production, recorded here in Sparta, Tennessee. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a like, share it, subscribe for more. Word of mouth truly is the best advertising. And if you want to hear more, look up our other podcast, With Honors, now in its 2nd season, and our brother podcasts, A Deadman's Books and Haston Curations.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Deadman's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books, and of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time, but I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life. All of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Deadman's Books.